Well, hello, I'm Robbie, and I wanted to come to you today to give you an honest review of teaching textbooks. We have used teaching textbooks for 2 years now, and we've used it for pre-algebra, we've used it for Algebra 1, and we've used it for Algebra 2. And this is going to be a completely honest, unbiased review. It is not sponsored in any way. And I will give you the good, the bad, and the ugly of teaching textbooks. So if that is interesting to you, if you're interested in that, please stick around. Okay, so teaching textbooks is a pretty revolutionary homeschool curriculum. I don't know of anything that really is quite like it. It covers math from level 3, what they call level 3, all the way through pre-calculus. And it comes with, if you get the full set, it'll come with a set of CDs, and this is the Algebra 1 set of CDs. In this particular one, there are 10 discs in this. There are 142 lessons, and I want to say like 19 tests, something like that. So it really is a full school year. You can, I think, squeeze it into a 4-day week, barely, if you are very, very consistent with doing it on a daily basis. For instance, I do have a set of the CDs for level 3 that only has 118 lessons in it, so that one obviously doesn't cover as much material, so it would have a little more flexibility in terms of trying to complete that in a school year. But when you get into the upper levels, definitely is going to be a daily lesson that needs to be completed in order to finish the course in a full school year. So it comes with these CDs, and you put them in the computer. The first disc you will install to your computer. Once you've installed it, it will prompt you to set up a teacher or parent account and a student account, and more than one student can utilize this program on a computer. It will ask you how many students are going to be on that computer, and you can set up a separate username for each student. So that's wonderful about this program. It's very flexible. It also will give you the option to install this program multiple times. There is a license key on the back. And when you input this information, you do need to have internet access when you first install this in order to register the product with the serial number. Otherwise, it won't let you move forward. So that's one thing you need to know. But once the serial number is registered, you're good to go. If it has been used twice, then it will stop you and say it's been used too many times. At least I think it's twice. But it will stop you and say it's been used too many times to call this number, and they will reactivate it, and they will reactivate it. As long as you call within business hours, they will reactivate it, no questions asked. So if you purchase this used, if you purchase it new and have installed it on multiple computers, doesn't matter. They won't ask questions, they don't care. They know people are reselling these courses, and they're fine with it. And it's really a wonderful company to work with. And this really is a fantastic program. I don't really have anything bad to say about the program itself. So the good is that, and then the bad would be, and the ugly are going to come later, and I'll go into that in a minute. Okay, so once you've installed it, one thing you need to know is that they have since updated the software, and you need to go to teaching textbooks, or just do a Google search for teaching textbooks updates, and you'll get to a page that has all the different levels and the updates to the software. And the reason you want to install this update, it's very simple. You download it, you execute it, it installs, it's done. The reason you want to do this is because it will allow you to import and export the gradebook. And I found that to be something we've utilized numerous times, whether it be because a student is switching to a different computer, needs to work on a laptop one day, the computer dies, and you have to, install it on a new computer. I mean, we've had it all happen. So you definitely want to install that update and do regular backups. Just export the gradebook to a thumb drive, to the hard drive but make sure you've got it in multiple places so that if you do lose your, hard drive, your computer dies, whatever, you will have the grade book. Otherwise, you'll lose your grades, and you don't want to do that. So the program itself is very flexible. Let's say usually the first, I've heard an estimate's about 50 lessons or so, whatever. The first part of every course in this curriculum is going to be a pretty extensive review. Some parents just let their kids go on to the test. If they make it through the test, get 100% or a 90 or above or whatever, then they don't have to do the lessons that correspond. And they just do all the different tests until they start missing some. At that point, that's where they start. You're welcome to do that. You don't have any restrictions within the software that will force you to do all the previous lessons before you can move on. So that is a wonderful plus about it. There's a negative to that, though, and I'll get to that in a moment. So that's wonderful. You also the program also comes with a test and answer key booklet, and we have yet to use this because all the tests are in the program itself. Every lesson is self-graded. In other words, once the student inputs their answers into the software, it automatically tells them right off, did you get it right? Did you get it wrong? If they got it wrong, they'll get one more chance to do it, unless it's a true, false, or multiple choice. If it's true, false, or multiple choice, they will not get another chance to do it. But as a parent, you can go into the grade book and give them another opportunity to do it. So you can go in, delete the answer that they input, allow them to re-input another answer. And that comes in handy because if I don't feel like my student has the understanding to get the problem correct, I then can go through the material, make sure they understand it, and then they get another opportunity to answer those questions that they missed. So obviously that's going to be up to the parent-teacher as to whether or not they want to allow a student to redo questions, but at least you have that option. The tests work the exact same way. So I guess where this may come in handy is if you don't want your student to have the opportunity to redo a question, and you want to really oversee that, or you're traveling and they've got a test and you don't want to haul the laptop and you just want them to have the test. There are some reasons why this would come in handy. So anyway, you do have this. It also comes with a book, a very large book. You can buy just the book with the tests and the answer keys. So that's another reason why that would come in handy if you chose not to use the CDs. But I don't recommend that. I guess it wouldn't matter. But the whole point of this program is that it's like having an instructor come to your home on a daily basis and do individualized lessons for your student in a blackboard or interactive environment. It's like a blackboard. You watch them write out, the problems step by step, show you exactly how to solve them. It's just phenomenal. But I will tell you this, the information is in here. It will show you step by step how to do every single problem, or every single lesson step by step within the book. So it does contain the same material as what's on the CDs. But we use this for reinforcement. If I find that a concept isn't being understood, then we can go back to the book rather than go and listen to the whole lecture all over again. So this is mainly used for reference. You can also solve your problems in here. It does give you room to solve. Well, not really. No, not really. But some people do try to use this as a workbook, but I'm looking at it now. We've never done that. That's why I had to kind of look, but I don't see where there would be room to work your problems out. So anyway, but some people actually just use the book with the test key and answer booklet and do it that way. Okay, so back to the CDs. Okay, so I told you that it's lecture-based. You have a teacher who goes through every single lesson, teaches the concepts, shows step-by-step how to answer, test or example questions, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Then when the student is working through the problems, if they get one wrong, they have the option to look at how it was done. And the teacher will go through and step by step show them exactly how to do the problem so they can see where they went wrong. And it's just an absolutely wonderful program. So, and it's every homeschool teacher's dream, right? Math is usually the one subject most homeschool parents say they don't like teaching, and they get frustrated, teaching, or they don't remember, what they learned in school, and they don't feel like they have the knowledge base to teach math. So, especially when you get up in some of the higher levels. So, what could possibly be the bad and the ugly that I talked about earlier? Okay, I'm glad you asked, because I will tell you. Okay, so the second thing about this program is that they can skip lessons. You can also skip questions. Okay, so let's say you do 5 problems instead of the 20. Usually there's around 20 to 25 questions in each lesson. So say you only do 5. And you get them all right. You get 100%. And here comes mom, parent, teacher, whoever, and they look at the grade book. Oh, 100%. That's awesome. You're doing great. Well, if you look a little closer, every single lesson in the grade book, the online grade book, will show how many problems were in the lesson and how many problems the student actually completed. If those numbers don't match, then you know that your student didn't do all the questions, okay? So you have to watch for that. Also, some parents will just tell their students, just do the first 10. If you get 100 on it, and I actually tried this, I know. If you get the first 10, just do the first 10. And if you get them all right, then you don't have to do the rest. And I've come to find out that's a very bad idea. And the reason why is because this is a spiral program. It will constantly reintroduce previously learned concepts and give problems for the student to solve with previously learned concepts. And you might not even get to the questions that were related to that current lesson until the end of the lesson. So the first 10 questions may very well be review questions. And then you get to questions that are related to the lesson that they just learned. So then they don't get any practice on what they learned in the current lesson, so that when it comes up again later, they're lost. Okay, so don't recommend doing that. Just do them. There's only 20 to 25 per day. So, if you want to comb through it and figure out, okay, my students already mastered this concept, so you don't have to do this problem or this problem or this problem or this problem. It'd be pretty high maintenance, but you could do that. But I wouldn't recommend just go through the first 10 and you're good to go. Okay, so what's another negative? And I will say this, so far, maybe you've noticed this pattern. Every negative I've brought up so far has nothing to do with the program, right? Nothing to do with the program. None of this is the program's fault, okay? These are things that I know that your student may do without your knowledge that just shouldn't be done, because it will cause major problems down the road, okay? So, you may have a perfect little angel who would never do any of these things. And, I thought I had the perfect angels in my home who would never do such things. But I've come to find out that no matter how perfect your little angel is, and how honest they typically are, and how good they typically are, they will pretty much do anything, and I mean anything, to get out of doing math. There, I said it. They probably will do anything to get out of doing math, and they will figure out ways to get out of doing their math. And this program, because it's so self-contained. It just requires so little intervention on behalf of me or any other parent, teacher, homeschool teacher, whatever. There's this level of overconfidence that becomes a serious problem, and your kids will pick up on it. I will look at the grade book, everything looks good, we move on, and guess what? We went through 60 lessons in Algebra 2 before I realized that my son, my precious boy, my angel, who would never do such a thing, had not worked out one single problem. Not one. Well, I take that back. I'm exaggerating a little. I think I found 3 or 4 pages worth of work in a spiral notebook out of 60 lessons. Yeah. So the lesson to be learned here is you have to make your kids accountable. Whether they do their work on a single sheet of notebook paper and turn it into you on a daily basis. Okay, now mind you, the system is going to grade. You don't need to grade their papers, but you have to make sure they are showing their work. And if I see a problem and an answer in algebra, and I don't see any work, no work, I just see problem and an answer, I will go to that student and I will say, I need you to explain to me how you came up with this answer. If they cannot explain to me how they came up with that answer without showing any work, I delete that problem. They have to redo it. It's a pain in the butt. I've had to do it many times. Many times. In fact, the one student that had done 60 lessons, we had to start completely over. It's taken him 2 years to get through Algebra 2. So do not do what I did. Learn from my mistakes, because I promise you, it will happen. Now, if you do happen to have a math-loving child who just loves math, and they just dive right in and they want to be perfect, they're perfectionists, and they show all their work and they show all their steps, and they pray for the rest of us, because 95% of us have children who will do anything, no matter how deceptive, no matter how manipulative. They will do anything to get out of math, okay? And, I thought maybe it was just the one student, honestly, because I had another one coming up the pike who tends to be a little more of a perfectionist, a little more compliant with regard to schoolwork. So he comes along, we get through pre-algebra. I honestly do not know if there was ever a problem with pre-algebra. As far as I know, he was showing his work, everything was good to go, we went through it. But Algebra 1, yes, we had some of the same problems. Although I had learned my lesson the first time, I still, in my mind, thought this one would never do this to me. They would never do this to me. But yet they did. Because you know what? They have things online called algebra calculators. They can plug in algebraic formulas and get the answer to just about any algebra problem using these online calculators. And they don't have to show their work to get the correct answer. So, I am now dealing with an Algebra 1 student who has only completed a little over half. Now, mind you, school year's over. School year ended on June 8th. We start late up here. And so we start the day after Labor Day. So our school year runs until the early part of June. And we do stick to that calendar because it's easier, and all his friends, that go to school, he wants the same days off they do. So we just do it that way. It's easier. So, but yet he's still doing math. Now he's doubling up on math in order to finish before summer's over. So, I've seen it all. I've seen lessons completely skipped. So they can honestly say, I'm on lesson such and such. Oh, that's great. You're moving right along. And then I go look at the grade book and they've skipped, you know, a lesson here, 2 lessons here, did a lesson here and here, and skipped a lesson here, and then did a lesson, and skip, and then did a lesson. Yes, I've seen that too. Because it will let you do that. The system, the software will not stop you from doing that. You can do that. Nope, doesn't work. So, I've seen 10 problems done out of 20. Good grade, but only 10 problems completed. I've seen problem written down, answer written down, no work in between. And for some reason, when there's a multiple choice, many times the student feels like that they don't need to show their work. It's a full-on algebraic equation that has step A, B, C, D, E, and they need to show their work, but yet they feel like because it's a multiple choice question that they don't have to show their work. I'm telling you, make sure your kids are showing their work. And if you don't know anything about algebra or anything about any of the math that they're doing, you don't know the difference between a variable and a decimal point, doesn't matter. If you see anything that looks wonky, chicken scratch, you know, looks like they're using the pages as scratch paper instead of number 1, problem written down, showing the work, answer. I tell my kids now mind you, I learned this the hard way, so I'm trying to help you. Just listen. Make your kids write down these problems and solve them as if they were turning these papers into a teacher at a brick and mortar school. Because I tell them, if I can't read it, if I can't tell where you did your work, I can't see where the answer is, it looks like gobbledygook, I'm making you redo it, period. No questions asked. Because also, there's an important reason for that. Let's say you're not backing up your scores and your computer crashes. You have to go in and you can put in all the answers. If you have records of all the work they did, it's real easy just to go in. I mean, a little tedious, but it's just data entry. You just pop in the answers, and then the system will have all the grades in there for you again. So, you know, you don't, or let's say you've backed it up, but it was 2 months ago. Then you have 2 months worth of questions that you need to input, answers you need to input to get your grades up to date. Not really that big a deal. But if your kids are not showing their work, that you won't know what is what when you go and try to do that. So make sure, if it looks wonky, if it looks like chicken scratch, if you can't read it, if it looks like they've erased it over and over again, all of a sudden they have the correct answer and it's circled, make them explain exactly how they did it. Write the problem on another piece of paper or piece of scratch paper and say, I need you to solve this for me. Make them do it so that you know that they understand it, because they will try to get out of math. I'm telling you, they will. I promise you, they will. And I hear from parents, I go on these message boards, you know, and people talk about teaching textbooks and they highly recommend it. And then you'll get 1 or 2 people that'll say, you know, my daughter or my son, you know, my snowflake went through this program and they got really good grades. And then when they took their ACT and SAT, they did horrible in the math section. So this program stinks. It just doesn't teach them anything. And that's not true. I guarantee you, there was a breakdown somewhere, because I've been through it. I've been through it. It took 60 lessons. You know, I don't even know how many lessons. I mean, how many lessons we've had to redo. I can't even tell you how many lessons we've had to redo, because they would just, or they would tell me, I've got a little check sheet. They check off when they've done their math. And everything looks good, you know, they're doing their math every day, and then I go to the grade book and see that they haven't touched math for 8 weeks. That's my fault. My fault, okay? Because I trusted my snowflakes. I trusted my angels, my babies. Now I have a 3rd one, okay? I have a 3rd one, and he is an angel. I promise you, he is. He's a perfect angel. Jason, come here. Come here. What? This. Come here. This is my angel. angel? You're not my angel? I think you're a little angel. How old are you?
6.
You're 6. Are you pretty perfect? Are you about the sweetest boy in the whole wide world? Yeah. Do you love your mommy? Would you ever lie to mommy and tell mommy you did math when you didn't?
No.
Because you're an angel?
I'm not an angel.
You're my angel. Okay,
No, I'm not.
go back. Bye-bye. He's an angel. He would never do this to me. Who am I kidding? Yes. Uh-oh. Something's wrong. What? Okay, I'm sorry. It's lagging, honey. I can't do anything about it. Excuse me, just one moment. Okay. So, who am I kidding? If I give him a math worksheet and I say, Mommy needs a shower, please, just do your math. And when I come back, we'll move on to something different. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to come back and that math worksheet's not going to be done. Because, again, he will do anything to get out of doing math. I have to sit with him. And I have to oversee every single problem, pretty much. So 5 or 6 years from now, when he gets a little more, experience under his belt and gets a little more worldly knowledge, I'm sure that he would be capable of doing such things as his older brothers have done to me. So, that is my review of teaching textbooks. I love it. I think it's a phenomenal program. I think it works. I think it teaches, we've gone through Algebra 2. My oldest is getting ready to take ACT testing. He's getting ready to do his ACT, SAT testing. So I can't say for sure that, yes, it has, given him everything he needs. But he didn't do Algebra 2 or geometry in teaching textbooks. And what I will say is that I would say, for instance, Algebra 1, I don't think covers as much information as, say, a typical public school Algebra 1 program. But I don't think that's a bad thing, because by the time they get through Algebra 2, they will have covered it all. And the oldest that is doing teaching textbooks for Algebra 2, did do a online Algebra 1 program, and he struggled all the way through it. He got good grades. He got A's and B's all the way through. But when we started Algebra 2, he couldn't solve a very simple algebraic equation, and so I'm telling you, it's a phenomenal program. It really is. It will cover everything they need to cover, and it will review and review and review and review and review, so that they get it. And by the time they're done, they will know the material. They really will. If you stay on them, you make sure they show their work, and you hold them accountable, it will actually cover everything they need to have covered. I've heard very good things about the geometry program. We haven't used that yet. I'm deciding now, actually, whether or not we're going to do geometry or Algebra 2 next year for the Algebra 1 student. But I really have nothing but good things to say. One thing I would say, and I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, is that no matter what level you're going into, don't just go into a level based on what you think matches up with grade level. Like, for instance, level 3, you might think is supposed to be grade 3. And I do have the CDs for grade 3. We have not used it yet. I'm deciding whether or not we're going to be using that for my younger student, but it really looks to me more like 2nd grade math. So they're based on levels, not grades. There are placement tests on the teaching textbooks website. I highly recommend that before you decide on a level, have your student take the placement test. Once they're completed, the placement test, it'll tell you exactly what they should have done in order to qualify for that level. And if they get everything right, or most everything right, then take the next placement test. So you get them at the appropriate level. Some parents get frustrated because they feel like their kid is, a year behind by the time they get to 7th, 8th grade. And it's because they just assumed that the math was on the levels matched grade levels, and they don't necessarily. I will say this: the one student, the younger one, who did pre-algebra and algebra 1, both during both school years tested in the 75th percentile. Well, after completing the pre-algebra, he tested in the 75th percentile for math. On state standardized testing, we did do that for him. And in the algebra, he's done the MAP testing. He's not done this. Well, he's done the standardized testing, but we haven't got the scores back yet. And he tested above national average in math after having only completed half, mind you, half of his algebra 1. So I do highly recommend this program, but keep an eye on your students. Make sure that they're showing their work. Keep them accountable. If you don't know anything about math, then you need to just make sure they can explain to you how they solve these problems. If you're seeing a problem that doesn't look right or it looks like a gobbledygook, make sure that they can explain or redo the problem. Also, teaching textbooks. I just found this out. They offer free tutoring. This is amazing. If your student gets stuck, you're not around, you don't know the concepts that they're learning, you can't help them. You can call they can call teaching textbooks. They will give them free tutoring on any level. And they don't differentiate between whether or not you bought the program from them or you got it used. They will give you free tutoring. I don't know to what extent that goes, like, if they're calling them every single day, or if there's a limit to, how many tutoring sessions they'll do. I don't know, but they do offer it. And I found that out when I talked to them about their online program. Now, they are developing an online program. I was curious about that, so I called, and that's when they told me about the free tutoring. They are going to be offering an online course that matches up with their CD courses. And the benefit to this is that, charter schools and things like that might be able to utilize this program because it's all online. It'll be less expensive than buying CDs new. You don't have to worry about scratched discs or, bad discs or anything like that. They will replace your disc for $15 flat, no extra shipping. So if you have a disc go bad or you lose a disc or whatever, just call them up. It doesn't matter whether you bought it from them. It doesn't matter if it's used. Doesn't matter. They will ship you a new disc for $15 flat, which is amazing. But if you don't want to have to mess with all of that, then or if you want to be able to travel without having to take discs with you and all of that, they are offering it online. And I think they're hoping to have that for the next 2017-2018 school year. Whether they will have it completed, or I know they're going to start rolling things out. They did tell me this. They were going to roll things out by level. So they'll start with level 3, and then level 4, and then level 5. So, they may not have all the levels all worked out by the beginning of this next school year. My maximum recording time had been reached. Okay. So anyway, I'm closing now. So thank you so much. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful to you. And if you want more videos like this, it's been a while since I've recorded one because the end of the school year got really crazy. But I have many more that I will be doing, and I would love to hear your comments. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.